I think we always had faith in the in the brand name to a point because we always the work that we always put into the Pumpkins was always top level. So to reignite that thing, we approached it with such a reverence that we really brought that kind of top level performances back to the record. So I think it was a nice surprise, but not a super surprise. I mean, I it was basically what I expected, right?
I have a complete distrust of the American public. So that's absolute, complete absolute distrust. I mean, I grew up in the burbs. Most of the country thinks like the burbs. And so I personally approach this with the idea that the name would really mean not that much. In fact, it could be the opposite effect, which is what people think the name meant is so far beyond anything that you could, approach. Like just the reunion culture dictates, well, if you don't have all the original members, and what does that mean? You talk to most people who are not informed, you'd have to go to great lengths to point out that the original lineup really has not really been intact since 1996. But most people think when the band broke up in 2000 that it was still the original lineup, but it wasn't. So
Right.
you get into all that sort of semantics and you just sort of throw your hands up. And you realize it's about other things. It's about, it's like, it's idealism versus reality. So our thing was just to get down to the reality. What is it like to play this kind of rock again from this kind of spot in the body, and does it feel good or doesn't it? And at the end of the day, if you're up there and you're playing only old songs and that's all anybody wants to hear, you might as well jump off the cliff right there anyway.
Basically, we were looking for the same things in other musicians as we see in ourselves, and that's something that goes beyond the commonality in music, something that goes into the spiritual belief, the life output of somebody, where their aspirations lie, whether it be musical or otherwise, what they think the truth is, and all that stuff really adds up to a song in some weird way. You find that because Jeff and Ginger are so truth-based individuals, if I could be so bold, they really fit into the equation musically. And I think for me, when I was working with them in the embryonic stages, I think what attracted me to them musically was what attracted me to them as people. And their moral integrity and their personal integrity adds up to a sonic landscape that we believe in. And I think more than anything, more than somebody coming in and ripping off a great audition or blowing me away by a guitar solo, I think the heart and soul adds up to the music, and that's the way we picked them.
No, our approach to the what we play live is strictly what we think is going to create an experience that is commensurate with the Zeitgeist heart. So the Zeitgeist album is the core of what we're trying to achieve, and what songs sort of go around that and create the sort of right spinning circle. As far as the contribution of the members that are playing with us now, Jeff, Ginger, and Lisa, what we asked them to do is not to play karaoke. Like, we asked them to make a personal commitment to the songs so that when they play the songs sound like they're being played in 2007 and not 1992 or not off a record. And all three musicians are really capable of lending their own interpretation. And sometimes it's beneficial, and sometimes you could say, well, it's not as beneficial, but there's a truth in the way we all play. And I think that's the most important thing. Because the karaoke thing that's like death. Every album that we've ever done together, the conversations in the dressing room, before and after the show would be, what kind of album are we going to make next? But for the first time, we don't have that conversation because we're not even sure we're going to make albums anymore. But that doesn't mean we're not going to make music. It's just the systems are breaking down to where you would even wonder, are people even going to want albums anymore? Is it going to be singles based? Is it going to be EP based? Is it going to be, you're going to give this retail outlet some songs? And so for the first time, we're faced with this sort of kind of uncertain future about what the system that you would be feeding the music into would be. So yeah, we're already, this first song we played tonight, Superchrist, is a song that was sort of like we germinated during Zeitgeist, and now we're playing it live every night. and so it's an unreleased song. And when we play it every night, everybody seems to love the song. So that would be, we'd say, okay, that's going to definitely be on the next album. But it may never come out. The AOL session may end up being the only version that's ever recorded properly. We may get bored with it in 2 months and it never be recorded, and we never go back to it on an album because it'll never be the album.
Right.
So it's interesting to posit what's going to happen, and we're all going downhill very fast.